I think we are going to need to take a break in a moment, and we are obviously going to need to come back to this, because this is a point of critical importance.
Of course.
That was debated, effectively, for some months afterwards. But just to conclude at this stage, did the way that 1441 come out present the United Kingdom with a difficult decision as to whether or not we should seek a further decision or resolution by the Security Council before we might find ourselves going into military action?
I think it did, and, obviously, as I have consistently said, from the legal point of view it would have been safer to have had a second resolution because it would have put the matter beyond doubt. Nobody could have then challenged the legality. From a political point of view, as I heard ministers explaining and as I obviously saw from what was happening in Parliament and the press, it was potentially enormously important, because in the circumstances of doubt in relation to it, people who were very unhappy about what was to take place would have felt much better about it. I don't mean better in an emotional sense, but they would have been much more persuaded about this if there had been a second resolution, which would have demonstrated that the international community was solidly behind the action. That's what I understand Sir Jeremy Greenstock to mean when he talks about the word legitimacy. That it would have had that sort of legitimacy because it would have been supported by the international community, and that obviously did give rise to a problem.
But at this stage, from a legal point of view, you were still of the view, as you have just said, I think, that the safest course would be to have a further Security Council resolution.
Yes.
To authorize the use of force. That, of course, is not the position that the United States had taken in its explanation of vote on this resolution.
No.
So there was quite a substantial difference between your position and that of the United States. Did you express any concern about this to the Foreign Secretary or the Prime Minister?
Well, I'm not sure, Sir Roderick, in what sense you mean concern. It was necessary for me then to consider, after 1441 had been passed, what it did actually mean, and that was a difficult judgment because there were competing arguments. In fact, the one that I found most important to deal with wasn't actually quite the one that he had raised, but was actually what was meant by the word assessment in operational paragraph 4, which came in at a late stage. I don't believe I had seen that before 1441 had been passed. Just what did that mean? Together, no doubt with operational paragraph 12. As I think the tribunal, probably the world, knows, at one stage my provisional view was that, taking all these factors into the balance, there wasn't enough there. The balance came down in favor of saying, no, a second resolution is needed. Subsequently, and no doubt we will come on to it, for good reasons, which I will seek to explain to the tribunal, I then ultimately reached, when I had to reach a definitive view on this, a different view.